Hi, I'm Nina, and I'm the author of A Kid's Guide to Getting Accepted into Magnet Middle Schools. My book is basically a study guide to help kids study for and take magnet program entrance tests. The long title and fancy explanation makes it sound so much harder and more complicated than it actually is. In my book, I discuss the Raven's Progressive Matrices test pretty heavily. The Raven is a pattern test that is proven to accurately determine the overall intelligence of a person, as I say in the book. In this video, we will be talking about the Raven test, specifically the different types of patterns that you will see on it. So many people try to tell you that you cannot study for the Raven. I think this is completely untrue. If you study each type of pattern well enough so that you can recognize it at a glance, you will be able to do so much better on the test. Simply put, the Raven is a test that consists of exclusively patterned problems. There are either 2 or 3 figures in each row, and each problem either has 2 or 3 rows. The patterns start from the top left and continue across the row to the top right, and the same cross-row movement applies for the next row or the next few rows. Total, there are 16 different types of patterns. In this video, I will be explaining how to approach the first 5. Let's start by going over those first 5 types of problems. The first is the pattern cutout. The second, mirror and manipulation. The third is the simple adjustment. The fourth is size change, and the fifth is row addition. Not much of a surprise with the names, but I'm trying to keep it simple. The first type of pattern is the pattern cutout. Pattern cutout questions are usually the first you will see on the test. I call it the cutout because it kind of looks like someone cut a piece out of a strip of cloth. All you have to do is find the answer choice that you can fit into the pattern on the strip of cloth. Here's an example. On this strip of cloth, there are horizontal black and white stripes, so we have to look for the answer choice that has horizontal black and white stripes only. Choices 4, 5, and 6 are all obviously wrong. Number 1 cannot work because the black and white stripes are vertical, not horizontal. Number 2 can't work because the black stripes are far too wide. The answer is number 3. The second type of pattern is the mirror and manipulation. A manipulation occurs when an element of a figure is changed. In this type of pattern, there are only 2 figures in each row, and there are 2 rows. The first figure is mirrored and then manipulated in some way to produce the second figure. The same changes that are made to the figures in the first row are made to the figures in the second. Let's see an example. In this question, the square is mirrored and the shading pattern is changed from solid black to black and white stripes. Numbers 1, 5, and 6 are all obviously wrong. Number 4 and number 2 cannot work because they were not mirrored correctly. The answer is number 3. The third type is the simple adjustment. In this type of pattern, there are only 2 figures in each row and only 2 rows, but the figures are only manipulated and not mirrored at all. These manipulations can include a change in shading pattern, like we saw in the last example, or in shape, among other things. Here's an example. In this problem, the shading pattern stays the same from the first figure to the second, but the shape changes from a circle to a square. The obvious answer is number 6. The fourth type is the size change pattern. In this type of pattern, only the size of the figure is manipulated. They either get smaller or bigger. This is when the test starts to get harder and there are 3 figures in each row and 3 rows in each problem. Let's look at an example. In this problem, each figure that kind of looks like a plus sign is bigger than the one that comes before it in the row. However, the first figure of each row does not have to be bigger than the last figure in the previous row. Every answer but number 2 is obviously wrong because they are all smaller than the second figure in the third row. So, the answer is number 2. The last type of problem we will be discussing today is the row addition. In this pattern, elements are added one at a time to the figures as the row progresses. Let's see an example. In this problem, an element that kind of looks like a petal is being added to the figure one at a time in a clockwise motion. So, the answer has to add 1 petal clockwise onto the second figure of the third row. In this case, it would mean completing the 5-petal flower. The answer is number 7. Remember, to learn about the rest of the pattern types that you will see on the Raven and just magnet tests in general, check out my book, A Kid's Guide to Getting Accepted into Magnet Middle Schools, and its accompanying workbook. Happy studying! A Kid's Guide to Getting Accepted into Magnet Middle Schools is a study guide to help 5th graders prepare for and get into gifted and talented programs. Based on my own experience with a middle school magnet program test, I discuss in detail every step of the way. I discuss how to put together an impressive application in everything from writing your essays to highlighting your best characteristics. I explain how to study for the Raven's Progressive Matrices test, including the 16 different types of problems and examples for each. In the reading comprehension section, I talk about how to handle the passages and questions and how to best study for it. I include sample passages and questions, a reading list of recommended books, and a list of hundreds of vocabulary words to study. I also explain the type of math problems that you will see on the test and tell you how to prepare and solve them. In the workbook, I provide hundreds of practice problems. I describe a tried and true essay format in the book, and there are 100 practice prompts in the workbook. Be sure to check both books out on Amazon. Have a question? Leave a comment below and I'll be sure to answer them. Be sure to keep an eye out for A Kid's Guide to Getting Accepted into Magnet High Schools. It's coming soon.